Hello everybody and welcome to today's video of DIY investing. Today I wanted to go over some very important things that I've been seeing playing out inside of the crypto market. One being Bitcoin's capitulation. Where are we at? How much farther do we still have to go? Are we going to go another leg lower, or are we going to start bouncing back on the upside? I'm going to be covering this in today's video. Not only that, but I've been noticing a lot of really good patterns and setups playing out in some of these older altcoins that have been around since 14 and 15. You guys aren't going to want to miss this because it's setting up for some very, very profitable gains. With that being said, thank you guys so much for the support of this channel. It means so much to me. Do this channel a favor and do me a personal favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates in the future. I've got good things coming. One being, I just launched my Discord server today, so if you guys would please go sign up by clicking the link in the description below. It'll redirect you to the Discord. This is going to be where I'm going to be posting my private altcoin analysis, Bitcoin analysis, as well as giving you guys a resource to come and look at my own private trades, as well as share your own ideas that you may be seeing. I just wanted to create a community where everybody could get behind and start putting towards a positive message and idea, and this is going to be a very good time being in the bear market. So let's get right into this video and see what I've got in store for you guys today. Okay guys, so I'm sorry for the crappy quality. I've got this bad lighting in the background. I'm recording at my friend's house, but it's not a big deal. Today I wanted to talk about capitulation and kind of the things that I see moving forward inside of Bitcoin's market. I briefly talked about this in a couple of my videos previously, but what I'm seeing currently and what I'm watching for is I expect one more lower low inside of Bitcoin's market that should take us. My targets for the next lower low are going to be 2,500 and then 1,800, and there is a slight possibility. I find this is my least likely probability that we come all the way down to about 1,300, and if we sold off that far, I think that would be like a 95% sell-off. Let's take a look real quick. So 93% retrace. This isn't out of the realm of possibilities. I think that it's very possible that we could see something like that. And so I'm just playing my strategy accordingly. I'm going to have buy order set at 2,500. That's about an 87% decline. 1,800, which is about a 90% decline. And then all the way down here, I have some low ones set at 1,300, and this is going to be a 93%. So we're just going to kind of have to watch and monitor what happens exactly. But something to keep in note is capitulation is a good time for the markets because it allows a lot of new money to flood into other places. If Bitcoin's dropping, you could maybe expect to see a big rally in some of these altcoins, specifically against the Bitcoin charts. I know that I personally like to trade the dollar charts. However, I do believe that there's a strong correlation between the Bitcoin charts that is important to watch out for. And it's something that I have personally been paying a lot of attention to because I have noticed that a lot of these older altcoins from about 2014 to 2015 and even some into 2016 have been painting really good setups, and their market cycles look like they're about ready to pop. So with that being said, this is what I'm watching with Bitcoin moving forward. I already showed you guys how we've broken this trend line, and we've now been rejecting off of this. If we come in here, we're starting to see a doji, and usually this is a bearish signal. We had this big bearish engulfing candle that came in here, and that to me is not a bullish sign. A lot of people are calling for higher highs, and I just don't see it. It is possible that we come down and tag right here at about 3,200, and then we get another relief that bounces up to probably about the 5K range would be my guess, but I don't expect anything more than that. I don't think that we're going to come all the way up and test into these higher resistance levels. I think that we're just going to have to come and probably make just another lower low before we can get some new money and have a true capitulation inside the market. Because one thing I've noticed is the volume is not lining up with capitulation yet. If we come back here, and I don't know if the volume will line up with this accordingly, because yeah, so if we come in here, we had capitulation from November 14 to January 12th was capitulation. And you see all of this volume that came in here. It was a steady growth of volume from about the B leg down to the C. However, at the very bottom of capitulation, we had this massive sell volume that came in that was bigger than anything else we'd ever seen. And up to this point, we have not seen anything close to that inside of Bitcoin. You do see that we are starting to get a nice accumulation of sell volume. However, it's nothing that we haven't seen before. In fact, back here in about February of 2018, we had more sell volume come in than when we had with this big 50% decline that happened here. So I don't expect this to be the bottom, and I think the people that are expecting it to just go up out of this are dreaming and hoping, and I expect one more lower low and that will capitulate the market. So this is what I'm watching for moving forward. You guys can play the markets accordingly. I'm just explaining to you guys what I'm personally doing. So follow your own advice always. I always tell you guys that, but now you guys understand what I'm going to be going with moving forward. So next part of this video, I wanted to go through and actually compare some market cycles and why it's important to watch these Bitcoin charts, because the Bitcoin charts do tell a story. Although different than the dollar, they tell their own separate story, which is always important to watch out for. First on the list is going to be Ethereum, the great classic number 2 altcoin. I don't know if XRP is actually number 2 right now. I honestly don't care. But either way, we all know what Ethereum is. So something I wanted to point out. What I've noticed with Bitcoin charts is they like to create these big expansive market cycles, and then they kind of just repeat the same pattern as it exponentially grows bigger and bigger and bigger. So if we come in here, I'm going to analyze some patterns that I've been noticing inside of Ethereum. So to start, we have the 1, 3, and then the 5. Followed accordingly comes the ABC, followed by an ABC retrace. And then we have another ABC. And then lastly, we finish off the correction with one big A, B, C back down, which ends in a nice zone of accumulation. We'll call this green. And this is the pattern that I've been noticing inside of Ethereum. Now, I'm going to analyze one more quick pattern. So we have a lower low here, and then we have one final lower low, and then we make the first wave in the new cycle. And so let's watch this and see how it plays out compared to the previous cycle back here. So we have the 1, we have the 3, and then we finish off with a great parabolic run in the 5. And what happens? Let's compare this pattern to this pattern here. First off is the ABC, which we saw here, A, B, C, A, B, C. And then we have another ABC back up, A, B, C. And then the ending is the great big 1 before we go into accumulation, which is the A, B, C back down. And what are we seeing currently with Ethereum's market? The big ABC down. Now, to finish off this pattern, keep in mind no two patterns and no two market cycles are ever going to behave exactly the same. And so we don't always want to put all of our eggs in one basket and see this pattern play out and then say, well, it's going to behave exactly the same, because that doesn't happen. Oftentimes what I found is they never behave the same, and whenever I try and put all of my beliefs into it playing out exactly as I saw it previously, I always get wrecked. So one thing to keep in note, to end off this pattern, we had 2 lower lows. We had the first one here, and then the second one before we shot up into the 1 wave. What are we seeing currently inside of Ethereum? We had 1 lower low, and then we had the final one before we pop out. Now, can you guys see the same resemblance here? Does this not look like the same exact pattern and the same fractal all the way through? It does, obviously. It doesn't take a genius to point this out. My favorite part of trading is just watching these big expansive market cycles, because they play out often, and when they do play out, you can usually time the entry right to where you're usually getting a really good risk to reward ratio. Whether it goes down a little bit lower from your target, it doesn't matter, because what I'm looking to do is accumulate and ladder in my positions. I'm not trying to buy all at once, because that's how you get wrecked. I'm just trying to find the best risk to reward setup for myself, and then I'm trying to time the cycle accordingly. So what it looks like to me is we've entered this accumulation cycle with Ethereum that once again ties us up with this last cycle, and it looks as if we're going to repeat the same thing. Now with this one, we are retracing a little further than we did back here, which is why you cannot put all of your eggs in one basket and think that just because the last cycle looked the same, it does not mean that it's going to play out exactly accordingly to plan, because it usually doesn't. However, now it's time to be accumulating some of these coins by basing your strategy upon the Bitcoin pair, due to the fact we are painting out a very similar pattern, which previously has played out accordingly. So it makes sense that we would do this. Look at this new volume coming in. We have more volume now than we did throughout this entire last cycle, all the way up in this parabolic rise. Even right here with this was the 5 wave on the dollar chart. However, this is still the ABC retrace. But this move saw tons of volume coming in here. So that's a very, very good sign overall, because that shows you that there's more money continuously accumulating inside of this market. So with that being said, Ethereum is one that I'm going to be watching. I think that we are very close to the bottom of this cycle, especially with it coming up to capitulation inside of Bitcoin. I think that what we're going to see is one more sell-off in Bitcoin, and that's the reason why these altcoins against the Bitcoin pair are looking like very good setups, because Bitcoin's going to drop. And when Bitcoin drops, some of these Bitcoin charts are going to go up in value because your buying power is going to increase with Bitcoin dropping. And that's the way the cycles work. If you go back and compare some of these older coins that have been around from the 13 to 15 bear market, you will see that a lot of them behave accordingly to Bitcoin's capitulation. Another one that I wanted to check out and show you guys is one of my favorite market cycles, if not my favorite market cycle, because this pattern plays out so accordingly and it looks so perfect every single time that out of all of the market cycles that I've ever seen, this one is the one that seems to hold true the longest and the most often. And this is the great MaidSafe. So I know that I've talked about this on my channel. Some of you guys that have been following me for a while have seen me talk about this. And it's one that I've been watching for over a year now, ever since back in here. I've been watching this and I've been accumulating this, and it's been a long, slow process. However, we are getting very, very close to the deciding point. Now, I'm going to go through here and analyze a couple patterns. So, with MaidSafe, we have the accumulation round, indicated by this little black line, and then we have these massive rallies. So, rally, and now what I'm expecting, because of previous price history, is another great rally market cycle, as shown from this one, and it looks as if we're going to have another pattern play out similar to this. Now, not only this, if we go through and here and analyze, look at these patterns. Okay, you have this little hook formation, and then we have the final sell-off, and then we round out. And what is happening? Not only that, if we come in and analyze the volume, because analyzing the volume is how you determine whether a trend is valid or not a lot of the time, because volume precedes price. Look at how much volume has been coming in here at the very bottom of this cycle. Now we have declining volume. It's almost just completely dead, which tells me now is the time to be buying. So MaidSafe is another one. Keep in mind, guys, these Bitcoin charts tell a story. If we analyze the patterns that we see in previous price history and previous market cycles play out, we're going to be able to get a good understanding of what may or may not happen in the future. To me, it's looking like with Bitcoin capitulating and making one more lower low, I believe that a lot of that money is going to flood into the alts, because a lot of people are just going to be so scared of Bitcoin that they're just going to be done with it. Everybody's going to cash out on their Bitcoin. They're going to think it's a dead project, and then they're going to try and throw their money into other projects because of that. So here's what I'm expecting with these Bitcoin charts. Last on the list, I want to go over one more final project, because this is another one. Now, even though it doesn't line up perfectly with this or Ethereum, how I had a more of a bullish case, this is one that paints more of a bearish case, and this is the great Stellar Lumens, which everybody's heard so much about. This was the only coin to trend upwards throughout Bitcoin's bear market. However, we've actually started to sell off since then, which brings me to the point of covering it into this video. So if I come in here, I want to point out the patterns that I see. So we have the first market cycle, and then we have, let's see here, the final blow off top before we have a rising wedge. If you come back here and analyze the pattern, you guys will see it. We have this rising wedge pattern. This one doesn't really look super well, but it's the same fractal that continues to play out. And it even happened right here with this little double top. Now with this, we're seeing the exact same fractal play out with the new cycle inside of Stellar Lumens. Now the reason why I point this out is because it's important to know that just because this was uptrending while Bitcoin was in its descending triangle at 6K, does not mean that it's still going to be bullish and it's just going to go higher again. That's just not the case. And what I'm starting to see is the same pattern play out, where we have the first little market cycle here, and then we have the blow off top. And so based off of where this cycle looks like and comparing it to this last cycle, I strongly believe that we're about right here. Now, with this cycle, currently, we've maintained support a lot better than the previous one. However, it doesn't really change the fact that this is still going down, and we have broken all support indicated by this last sell-off here. We've broken support and we're free falling. Where I would expect a bounce to take place is probably about here. That's where I would look to catch this next bounce, and we're just going to basically repeat this fractal. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to consolidate for this long, because that may or may not happen. However, it is important to understand that some of these cycles will play out in a bullish sense, and some of them are going to play out in a bearish sense, which is why it's important to be able to analyze both charts, whether it's the dollar, whether it's the Bitcoin pair, because they both tell a story. And a big reason for me following these Bitcoin charts is because I've always been a really big fan of market cycles, and I've noticed with Bitcoin charts, the market cycles are uncanny, and they paint often the similar fractal that just continuously exponentially grows bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys today. These are some coins that I'm watching. I'm bullish on MadeSafe. I'm more bullish on Ethereum right now. I think that with Bitcoin capitulating, that money's going to have to flood into some of these other projects, specifically some of these older coins that have been around. With that being said, there are other coins that have just started within the last few years, whether it's 2016, 2017, and even 2018. I find that less likely. However, a lot of coins are going to be pumping during this time of capitulation. It's going to give you guys a very good opportunity to buy some of these altcoins while they're cheap, sell them in lots of profit as they go up, and then with those profits, go buy cheap Bitcoin and then hold throughout the consolidation, because it's going to be a long, slow process of Bitcoin going sideways. We've seen it previously with the last bear market. In fact, we went sideways for, let's see here. We went sideways from the day of capitulation to where it actually started to break out. That was 252 days. So where's 252 days? Now, I'm not saying capitulation is right now. I think that we're going to go a little bit further. Let's say March. Let's say March is capitulation. Now, I don't know for sure, but we're just going to go from March to 250 days from there. That puts us at November of 2019, which is almost a year from now. So, guys, we're going to have a long, slow process of Bitcoin going sideways. We still have lower lows to come according to my wave counts and according to my own personal analysis. So the best thing that you're going to be able to do for yourself is watch these cycles, time the cycles accordingly, because there's still profitable buying opportunities for yourself in this time. Even though Bitcoin's going to be slow, even though Bitcoin's still going down, don't get discouraged by that, because there's always a time to be trading, and that's why it's important to be able to analyze both charts and be able to analyze these patterns that I'm pointing out. With that being said, watch out for these coins in 2019 and right now. I see multiple altcoins painting up perfect fractal setups with the Bitcoin chart as well as the dollar charts. Guys, like, analyze both of these patterns, go back through, watch this video again, and really take time to see what I'm talking about. Keep in mind, these Bitcoin charts are painting beautiful setups right now, especially some of these older coins that have been around for a while. You guys aren't going to want to miss out on this. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video of DIY investing. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.